Disney's Snow White remake has become the company's worst nightmare. The film has reached a humiliating new low, sealing its place as the worst-rated Disney release of the decade. From an already terrible 2.5 on IMDb to a humiliating 1.7 out of 10.
At every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
What happens when one actress takes down a billion-dollar empire? Not with scandal, not with a crime, but with a movie. Or rather, the death of one. Disney's Snow White remake wasn't just a flop, it was a cultural implosion. The kind that studios fear, analysts dissect, and fans meme into legend. The numbers are brutal, the optics are worse, and, at the center of it all, is Rachel Zegler. Once hailed as the future of Hollywood, Zegler is now being quietly erased from the very system that built her up. Theaters are pulling her film in record numbers. Co-stars are backing away. And insiders say Disney itself is freezing entire projects because of what happened here. This isn't just about one bad movie. This is about a corporate strategy collapsing under the weight of its own arrogance. And one woman's refusal to play by the rules. Snow White was supposed to be a slam dunk. Beloved fairy tale. Big budget Disney backing. Star power. Global release. But when opening weekend came around, reality hit like a truck. Theaters were empty. And not just a few. We're talking hundreds. Social media was flooded with images of deserted screenings, even in major cities. Some fans shared TikToks showing entire auditoriums with 0 other people in the room. One woman recorded herself sitting alone and said, "I thought I was early, but turns out I'm the only one." By week 4, over 1,200 theaters had dropped the film. The original 3,750 locations plummeted to just over 2,500. In some cities, showings were cut in half. In others, the movie vanished overnight. Zegler, once Disney's golden girl, suddenly disappeared from the spotlight. Paparazzi caught her riding the New York subway alone, incognito. No red carpet, no press interviews, just silence. Because by now, everyone knew. The movie was a disaster. As word spread, humiliation turned viral. TikToks, tweets, and memes exploded. Audiences mocked Disney's marketing, laughed at Rachel's interviews, and tore into the film's message. The most brutal footage? Zegler herself walking into a nearly empty screening, only to have a fan record her sitting by herself. That clip went viral in less than an hour, and the damage was immediate. Even outside the US, it was the same story. In China, IMAX theaters were reportedly completely empty. Journalists described walking into massive theaters and counting fewer than 5 people.
As a good reporter, I went to check it out myself yesterday here in Shanghai. Now, including myself and my friend, the entire IMAX cinema had just 5 audience members. And that is despite Disney going all out in their promotion of the film here in China. There was even a poster in the elevator at my apartment complex.
One reporter from Shanghai said, "I've never seen anything like it. It's like a ghost town." Meanwhile, other films, including Minecraft, the movie, and Captain America, Brave New World, were drawing massive crowds. At one Minecraft premiere, fans even brought live chickens into the theater. It was a celebration. Snow White? It was awake. And then came the numbers. Disney spent $250 million producing Snow White, and that's not including marketing, which some insiders say topped $100 million on its own. The global box office? A dismal $195 million. That's a loss of at least $145 million.
Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever. Let me say that again. Ever. Okay, this is Snow White. And for those of you that have daughters or ladies that are listening to this, remember the first time you watched Snow White? The story, a love story, what happens to it? Snow White starring Rachel Zegler opened to a dismal $43 million, snagging the title of the lowest debut weekend for any Disney live-action remake, beating 2019's Dumbo at $46 million. They beat Dumbo. Shame on you, but it's for the worst ever.
On IMDb, the film scored a catastrophic 1.6 out of 10, one of the lowest-rated movies on the platform ever. Analysts quickly labeled it the worst-performing Disney release of the decade. Some went further, calling it the biggest flop in Hollywood history, but the numbers were just the start. What followed was even worse: fallout, finger-pointing, and full-on panic inside Disney headquarters. To understand why this collapse was so severe, you have to look behind the curtain. And what insiders revealed about Rachel Zegler was explosive. Reports say Rachel didn't just act in the film, she tried to control it. She constantly clashed with directors, rewrote scenes, and insisted that the classic love story be scrapped in favor of a more independent heroine. In interviews, she openly mocked the original 1937 film. She called the prince a stalker, said the romance was weird, even joked that the original story was outdated trash.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
That didn't sit well with fans, or Disney, or, most critically, her co-stars. At first, Gal Gadot stayed quiet. She had played the evil queen in the film, a major role, but as Snow White unraveled, she said nothing. No defense of the project, no praise for Rachel, just silence, until the truth leaked out. According to insiders, Disney begged Gadot to speak up, to help clean up the mess and defend the studio's direction. But Gal refused. She knew what everyone else did. Rachel Zegler had become radioactive. Behind the scenes, the tension had been simmering for months. Multiple reports confirmed that Gal confronted Rachel during filming, accusing her of derailing the project with her constant political remarks and behind-the-scenes power grabs. In private, she told Rachel the brutal truth: "You tanked this film." And she wasn't alone. More cast members began distancing themselves, refusing to appear in promotional content. Disney executives were panicking. What began as a film had become a PR war, and Rachel was losing badly. Snow White wasn't just a movie, it was part of Disney's billion-dollar strategy. Live-action remakes of its animated classics, with a modern twist. That plan is now in flames. Following Snow White's implosion, Disney quietly halted production on Tangled, its next big-budget remake. Insiders revealed that Tangled was set to outspend Snow White. But after watching the collapse, the studio pulled the plug. No press release, no big announcement, just silence. Executives are scrambling behind the scenes. Test audiences are rejecting modernized fairy tales. Merch sales are down. Even die-hard fans are walking away. And during an interview, CEO Bob Iger tried, and failed, to defend the direction. When asked if Disney had become too woke, Iger looked caught off guard. He hesitated, smiled awkwardly, then said he didn't even really know what woke meant anymore.
I love what you said about wanting to entertain audiences. Critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means, and one could argue that sometimes it's used too liberally. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
It was a moment that said everything. The man running Disney couldn't define the ideology shaping its films, and the fallout was now global. While Disney fumbled through damage control, Rachel Zegler was imploding. Sources close to the actress say she's been in full meltdown mode, crying, avoiding the press, and even considering therapy to deal with the backlash. Her reputation has gone from promising newcomer to liability. Major studios are quietly backing away. Her name is no longer attached to future projects that were once considered sure bets. Directors don't want her. Executives won't vouch for her. Public sentiment is toxic. One casting agent was even quoted saying, "Her political baggage outweighs her box office value." That's the Hollywood death sentence. It wasn't just Rachel's public comments that triggered this collapse. It was how she rewrote the brand itself. She called the prince a stalker, removed the romance, mocked the original film, rebranded Snow White as a dominant, romance-free girl boss in a film no one asked for. To older audiences, it was disrespect. To younger fans, it was awkward. To critics, it was political propaganda masked as art. And to Disney, it was financial suicide. The company built its empire on timeless stories. But Snow White wasn't timeless, it was tone-deaf. A remake that tried so hard to modernize itself that it forgot to be entertaining. Now, the damage is complete. Over 1,200 theaters pulled the film. Social media turned Zegler into a symbol of Hollywood's downfall. Disney shelved Tangled and paused other live-action projects. Gal Gadot walked away, refusing to defend the company. Rachel's career is in freefall. This isn't a box office bomb. It's a cultural rejection, a signal from audiences that the remake machine has finally pushed too far. And at the center of it all is a once celebrated actress, now left sitting alone in empty theaters, watching her career disappear. This isn't just about one film. This is about the collapse of a billion-dollar identity and the dangers of forcing politics into places where audiences just want magic. Rachel Zegler's Snow White wasn't just a flop, it was a warning. So now the question is, can she recover? Can Disney? Or is this the end of both? Let us know in the comments. Was it Rachel's behavior, Disney's agenda, or was the audience just tired of remakes?